Right, same. Now, in many of my videos, I always pull up when I see that number 15, what I call the Devil's Tarot card number. And the other day, there was a same in the left-hand column. And it's funny about that, isn't it? This is a very interesting number, 15. And why I often, when I pull up the number, and I don't say too much about it at the time because it's mainly uncovering the hoax, say, in question. And you start on this number 15, and nearly of all numbers, it's not the only one, but I tell you, it's a mighty number, mighty lots of meanings, many layers to it. So it's sort of one of those things that you don't want to just half cover. You want to at least put out some sort of decent amount of information about it, because just a little bit about it just doesn't cover the number, and it sort of does it and the whole thing a disservice, really. So people just think, oh, that's all it means, whereas you've got to have a bit more layers about that. And really, an essential thing about this idea with this number, of course, is indulgence and materialism. That's what the devil is, and where people based on materialism. And really, when you look at the whole hoax, sponsored by the corporations, McDonald's, Adidas, is very heavily wrapped up in materialism. And really, one of the big parts of these hoaxes is to fill the airwaves with something that they can earn advertising revenue. I mean, if you got sat in front of the news tomorrow night and they said a cat was stuck up a tree, you would hardly want to keep watching the news. You go, well, that's no good. You actually, well, I don't want to be mean to people, but people do really want to see death. They want to see that death cult. They want to see misery in other people's lives. That's what a lot of people are like, unfortunately. It's to do with the mind control. And that's what really the essence of this number is. Another real classic thing about this number, just while I'm there and I can think of it, is if you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, you add that together. 1, 2, 3 is 6, and 4 and 5 is 9. 6 plus 9, 15. There's a lot I could say just about that little bit there, but of course 69 is the archers, masonry, as you know, Cancer, and the moon. But funny enough, Capricorn relates more to 15 relates more to Capricorn. So there's a lot of up and down, as above, so below sort of stuff going on with the number 15. And when you reverse it and you have 51, that's the star, the Waterman star. And of course, 51 or 15 both break back to Wah. And I just did a video on some of the aspects of Wah. Again, Wah is a feature-length movie. And the number 15, some, is much the same. That is a definite. Funny, 51 relates to baptism too, I might add, and to a ladder, like Jacob's ladder. But yes, the old number 15, as I said, the devil's tarot number, the devil tales, I call it. It always seems to be in about the body of the text you're reading. They seem to open with the mind weapon. But somewhere they slide in the number 15. Usually it's 15 minutes is a favourite of theirs. But there's other ways of getting it in there. Sometimes they might have something like an hour and then 5 minutes. Well, that will be 15. You see, it's not a straightforward way of putting this in. And as we can see by the name, samekh, uh, even maybe using the word same can represent 15. There would be many aspects to this letter indeed. And I think it's something that people just should have a quick look at, and then they might be able to understand the hoaxes and how the patterns of the numbers may fall in and what sometimes they're trying to say. But certainly the materialism, and that is a huge thing, as I said, in the hoax. Illusion, because materialism isn't the hugest illusion. As you think because you go and buy this brand new car, it's going to be real great. Well, maybe it lasts for a day, and then the next day it's still a car. It only takes you A to B, and suddenly you realise you're so broke because you bought this really expensive car. Now, in the Hebrew meaning of this letter, it means to lean upon. It actually looks like a shield, you see, to uphold or to support. And it's the Jewish concept of samekh, which is the laying of hands upon the head of a sacrificial victim in a blood ritual of the Jewish temple. So one may wonder, no wonder it's the devil's card there, eh? How amazing is that? And it may have represented shield, but today ordination ceremony is called a samekh. So it's actually the ordination ceremony, from the roots being the shield. So again, in the hopes, there's no doubt it's going to represent that sort of ideology as the spell, may be. The shield, upholding or supporting the story, in other words. Might be a way we can view that. And it can also be the miracle. There's a miracle of samekh and a priestly blessing. So certainly quite an important ideology goes behind this in Hebrew and Phoenician and all through the Middle East, and certainly in black magic. And of course you have the 555, which is the 15. And I'm sure people realise the significance of 555. That would have to be another video. And certainly this is what I'm going to have to do. We're going to go through the numbers 1 to 9 and then maybe up to 33. That'd be an interesting one, wouldn't it? Somewhere around there, up to 40 maybe. And then also just highlight a few of the connections between the numbers. So that's really going to take about 50 videos, all around 10 minutes long. So this is a bit of an introduction video. I've certainly done some on Zayn the weapon before, some on Aleph, and I just did some on Wa. Again, those need to be revisited and beefed right up. They were only very short rundowns because this stuff is very deep, and you want to at least put a decent video that covers a fair amount. You don't just want to put something skimpy for people just to get a simplistic view of this, because it's definitely not simplistic. If you go to Google Images, is a good way with these things, just to type in any of these terms. And I tell you, it's amazing what you find. And you often find things that you weren't suspecting. These Royal Star numbers, for instance, are very interesting. And we all know those numbers there. Look at that 37 sitting on the page. Need I say any more? Well, please stay tuned and I'll get that series up over the next couple of months. And that'll be a good reference point when they pull a hoax. You could probably go to the video and just see what might be said about some number that might be featured. Say we had the MH17. Well, I wish I'd had a video up already with clear details of the meaning and depth of meaning of the number 17. And that would be good for people to refer to when they see a hoax. And just on another tangent, just finishing this video, I just want to share something interesting for me anyway. The Sydney and Australian Rugby League Grand Final was on the other day, which is equivalent somewhat to America's Super Bowl in Australian terms. We have two sort of Super Bowls, an Australian rules and a Rugby League. Well, the Rugby League was on, as I said, just the other Sunday, last Sunday, and it was won by the Rabbit team, which is actually a team I played for as a child, and all my friends and myself have always supported this team. And it is the working class. They're generally better sort of people in that team. It's real sort of heart and soul style people compared to some of the other more flashy teams, you might say. But what was interesting, of course, is the rabbit is to Easter, i.e. to Isis, to rebirth, and all the connotations of the rabbit. I sure as hell don't need to tell you. And they beat the dogs. And haven't we seen this dogs business? And I noticed the other day there, I showed a video with Beatrice with dogs giving birth. And we certainly have seen the dog theme. We know the serious dog theme. So I just thought it was a little bit interesting. ISIS beating the Bulldogs. Does that mean something's going to happen to England? Because England has the Bulldogs, as you know. It's the Canterbury, and it is the Archbishop of Canterbury, isn't it? So I don't know what you can read into that. I just thought it was pretty spookily interesting in its own way. But as we say in Australia, up the bunnies. It is the working man's team. How contrived it all was, I don't know, but it was just for us. It was strange enough too. This is bizarre. It was 43 years that this team has not won the championship, and now they've won 21. And we know all those numbers. The hairs are standing up on my arm just saying it, just for the fact of what I know about numbers. But isn't that interesting? 43 and then 21. I don't know. They say there's no coincidences. It certainly made me think for a second anyway. So I just wanted to share that with you. You can have a look at that yourself, and you'll see how bizarre it all looks. And of course, the main owner of this team and the guy behind it all is Russell Crowe. I should tell you that one just while we're here. So that definitely puts a bit of an extra shine on it all, doesn't it? Now. One final thing, you might have noticed I often talk about Robin Hood and Robin Williams, of course, when that came, and I always talk about the red Robin comes bobbing along, and how you get Rob and you reverse it, and you have Boar, and these are all very, very old sort of ideas, and definitely, as you can see here, I wasn't lying to you. This is just on a search, the Devil Tarot card. Google search and up comes Robin. So there's no prizes for seeing how Robin Williams fits in somewhere here. And the thing I've been thinking about him is I'm pretty certain he wasn't a man. Think back to Mork from Mork. And I reckon the girl was a guy. I know you're going to say, oh, Tone Zeal is not handling this. Sorry, mate, but it is. It's mind bending, isn't it? But that's what these people are into. And there's a great picture of Joan Rivers with Williams, and of course she's a guy. You know that. I'm sure you can tell that's a guy. And isn't it funny? She's with Robin Williams, and the whole thing with wah wah reversing. It's a lot to do with reversal. So I mean, I'll leave it to you. Here it is: Robin Hood, Robin Williams, the Red Robin, and Boar. And of course, the Boars are the emblem for the Fergusons. Another sort of Scottish sort of connection there. And I mean, those Boars, going back into Wales too, the bloodline out of there, because that all links the Fergus name. And in Welsh, it's got GW. How's that, eh? Old Dubber Bush is somewhat connected to Fergus, believe it or not. I'm sure you would believe it. You know how this works. Look, Robin Williams. Looks Prince William. There's another one. You know what I mean? They're all little merry-go-rounds. They're little eights. That's the best way to say it. Look at a bowler. They've got an 8 on the end of it. You notice that? See, the stuff's there in plain sight if you just want to have you don't have to have a master look at it. Just have a little bit of a look. And you'll see that these things connect. So when your friends say, oh, that's all hullabaloo, they just haven't looked. They haven't studied a thing. They remain in ignorance. They remain hit by the mire, by the illusion. Oh, and I noticed that the spelling for 51 in Hebrew was every letter for a bowler except the O. It was a T instead of an O. I just thought that was quite interesting now, isn't it? Considering some of the values that 51 represents. So have a look at that yourself, and I think you'll be amazed.